No DQ Galaxy. We are live with the NoDQ.com recap of Friday Night Smackdown for March the 18th, 2022. We are just over 2 weeks away now until WrestleMania. We are almost at the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. We kicked off SmackDown with another recap of the Roman Reigns attack on Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden. We've seen this attack quite a few times. The video has the most views of any WWE video clip posted to Instagram, over 5 million views. I think 5 million views on YouTube as well. It's definitely a clip that has been seen many times, yet WWE needs to show another recap of it because, well, that's what they do. We had Roman Reigns, along with the Usos and Paul Heyman, come down to the ring for a promo. Roman Reigns said he will make Brock Lesnar bleed in Charlotte, North Carolina, just like he did in New York City. Heyman then notified Roman Reigns that Brock Lesnar had travel issues, something with the weather, and he was not going to be there in Charlotte. Roman Reigns started talking trash, said that Lesnar is scared of him. And then Heyman had an update. As it turns out, Brock Lesnar actually did land and was on his way to the arena. At this point, Roman Reigns and the Usos, they quickly left. They tried to escape the arena. They got into their car, and lo and behold, Brock Lesnar arrived in a forklift. He used the forklift to destroy the car while Roman Reigns and the Usos were still inside, but they eventually got out of the car. Lesnar had the car tipped over, and then the Usos attempted to get into a truck, and Lesnar ran after them, and as they were speeding away, Lesnar literally ripped the door off of the truck as they drove off. And then Lesnar went to the ring with the door, and he cut a quick promo, and he told Roman Reigns, quite simply, he is coming for blood at WrestleMania. This was a hell of an opening segment. I thought everything here was very well done with Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Everybody played their part well. And I'm intrigued about the blood because we had that angle at Madison Square Garden. Lesnar was bleeding. Reigns talked about making Lesnar bleed. Lesnar said he wants blood. Are they going to have blood at WrestleMania? I'm really curious to see what they do here. They're definitely teasing the idea that somebody's going to be bleeding at Mania. I feel like they did have blood with one of their matches. WrestleMania 34, Roman Reigns was bleeding, I think. We'll see what they do, but this was a successful segment because I'm looking forward to this match more now than I was prior to it. I like the whole forklift thing, and it's actually not the first time that Lesnar has used a forklift on WWE television. He's done it before. He did it back during his first run with the company. And I do want to point out, All Things Wrestling said, happy 20th anniversary to Brock Lesnar. That is correct. Today marks 20 years since Brock Lesnar debuted the night after WrestleMania 18 when he showed up during the hardcore match and he powerbombed Spike Dudley halfway to hell, F5 Maven, and slammed, I think, Al Snow into a trash can. It was brutality. Anyways, we had our first match of the evening. Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura versus the Lethal Lovers, Humberto and Angel. They did their little kiss cam segment before the match. Humberto blew Shin a kiss. Shin grabbed the kiss and stepped on it and said, "Come on." Pretty basic match here. They worked over Shin for a while. Boogs got the hot tag, did his power moves, the military press reps, the curling, and then he hit the Boogs cruise, picked up the win over Garza. Just a match to set up the challengers, a little showcase match for them. It was fine. Nothing wrong with it. Just your basic match to build up somebody, build up a tag team, whatever. We then had a 6-man tag team match. Drew McIntyre and the Viking Raiders against Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, and Jinder Mahal. Corbin took a cheap shot at McIntyre early on, and the heels used that distraction to work over Ivar for a while. Eventually, Drew McIntyre tagged in. Corbin quickly tagged out to Shanky, and Shanky got his ass kicked, got hit with the Michinoku driver by McIntyre, and then McIntyre finished him off with the Claymore. So kind of just a filler match, nothing too noteworthy here. Unlike the opening match segment, or the opening segment, I should say, this really did nothing for me as far as getting me hyped up for McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. My interest remains like at a 2 or a 3 maybe. We had Sami Zayn cutting a promo backstage saying that he wants an anything goes match with Johnny Knoxville. And later on in the show, we got a response from Knoxville. I guess he was in his hotel room or something, and he did the selfie promo. He said he has made a career out of not listening to common sense. He said that Sami Zayn is a terrible human being, but a great competitor. And Knoxville accepted the challenge for the anything goes match at WrestleMania. I guess this is slightly intriguing. Maybe they'll do some crazy stunt, jumping off the stage or something. I suppose my interest level went from like a 4 to a 5 maybe on this one. We had a tag team match. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley against Sasha Banks and Naomi with the tag team champions. Zelina Vega and Carmella on commentary. I guess Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have a new team name. Their team name is Live for Brutality. Simple enough. This was a pretty solid match up until the cheap finish. You had Liv Morgan getting a hot start on Sasha Banks. Sasha went in for a handshake, but then used that to lure Liv into a corner. Rhea Ripley tagged in, used her power on Sasha, did the delayed vertical suplex, but eventually Sasha regained control of the match, and Sasha hit a Meteora to Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley tagged back in. Sasha hit the backstabber to Rhea and then hit a splash. Naomi did the split-legged moonsault, but Liv Morgan ran in to break up the pin. And then we had a big Tower of Doom spot where Sasha and Naomi were going for the suplex on Rhea. Liv Morgan came in, power bombed them as they were suplexing Rhea Ripley. Everybody was down. And then all of a sudden, we had Natalya and Shayna Baszler come in, causing a disqualification, no contest, double DQ, whatever you want to call it. And then Zelina and Carmella got into the ring to assist in the attack. And then backstage, Sonya Deville ran into Natalya and Shayna Baszler and said she liked what they did with the attack, and therefore she is adding them to WrestleMania. So yes, Natalya and Shayna Baszler are getting a tag team title match at WrestleMania just by attacking somebody. That's how they get added to the match. Whatever at this point. It's ridiculous. As long as Zelina and Carmella lose the titles, then I'm fine with whatever they do to build up the match. But the women's tag division really needs some kind of a boost here. At this point, I just don't care. I'm so beyond having any kind of emotional investment in the women's tag team titles that this didn't even bother me. And If it was a title where I cared, it might be a different story. And I don't think Naomi's ever turning. I don't think that is on their radar. Like Naomi going heel and joining the bloodline. I've been saying this for like a year now. I don't think they're doing it. I don't think it's on their radar. We had Pat McAfee summoned to Vince McMahon's office. We did not get to see the conversation. He then returned, came into the ring for a promo. He said that he saw professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, for the first time, and it changed his life immediately. Crowd was doing the what chants at him, by the way. And he talked about how he had other paths, but he always loved wrestling. And then Michael Cole had asked him if he wanted to join SmackDown as a commentator. And he said, "Give me a hell yeah." And said that he had always dreamed about being in WWE. And that's when Austin Theory came down to the ring and wanted an apology from Pat McAfee. I guess this is what the meeting was in Vince's office. Vince, I guess, told Pat McAfee to apologize to Austin Theory for attacking him last week. So McAfee did apologize. He said he is sorry that he beat Austin Theory's ass last week. He is sorry that Theory's parents raised a douchebag. And he is sorry that Theory is a little punk bitch. Austin Theory did a selfie, I guess content that he got his apology, and then shoved McAfee and then ran away. So that was that. Ending was kind of lame with Theory just running out of the ring, but McAfee's promo was fantastic. I thought he did a really terrific job. The guy is money on the mic, so much personality and charisma. I always say this every week, whatever they're paying him, they should be paying him more. We had Kofi Kingston versus Ridge Holland. Footage was shown from last week with the unfortunate injury to Big E. Kofi was all by himself, and Ridge had Sheamus and Pete Dunne out there. I refuse to call him the other name. Kofi and Ridge went back and forth for a bit, and then Sheamus got on the apron. Butch then knocked Kofi off the top rope, but the referee realized some shenanigans were going on, so we kicked out Butch, Pete Dunne, and Sheamus. Kofi rolled up Ridge Holland, but Ridge kicked out. Kofi then grabbed the shillelagh or whatever the hell that stick is that Sheamus and Butch have, threw it at Butch. Butch got really angry, tried to run into the ring, but Sheamus pulled him out, and then Ridge took advantage of the situation and pinned Kofi Kingston with the power slam. As far as distraction finishes go, this was better than usual. I'm still not a big fan of them. Kofi Kingston, not quite a stupid babyface, which is good, but I still think they really overdo the distraction finishes. No Xavier Woods, by the way. Not sure when they're pulling the trigger on that with him as far as coming back and helping out Kofi, maybe on next week's show. Then we had our final segment of the evening. Charlotte and Ronda Rousey recap of their brawl in the parking lot last week, the parking garage, whatever. Charlotte came down to the ring for a promo in her hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina. Talked about that officials had to pull her off Ronda last week, and that was just a taste of what's going to happen to her at WrestleMania. And Ronda was watching backstage. Crowd was chanting, "You tapped out" at Charlotte. Charlotte said that Ronda doesn't have the love, the passion, and so on to become a 13-time women's champion. She invited Ronda to come out there and confront her in her hometown. And that's when we had Ronda Rousey leaving the backstage area. Caleb Braxton warned her that it could be a trap, but Ronda was not going to back down. She got in the ring, and Charlotte had a kendo stick. So, yes, she did have a plan. However, Ronda gained the upper hand, attempted an armbar, but Charlotte escaped to the outside. They brawled on the outside of the ring, and Charlotte had a different stick that was in the timekeeper's area. Ronda had put on the ankle lock, but Charlotte grabbed the stick from the timekeeper's area and used it on Ronda, and then choked out Ronda Rousey with the kendo stick. And then to finish off Ronda for the evening, gave her a power bomb through the announce table to get the heat leading up to WrestleMania. This was a pretty good final angle. I did like this angle here to set up the match for WrestleMania. Still not super excited about this one, but I thought that this was a good segment here to help get some heat for Charlotte heading into the match. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, submission match now, maybe? Yeah, they could do something like that, although Ronda did not tap out when she was being choked out. So it's kind of interesting to do a submission match, because do you really believe that Ronda can tap out? I think you got to have the belief that she can, but you just don't see Ronda Rousey tapping out to anything. So I think I would just prefer a straight up match rather than a submission match, because you got the submissions, but Ronda has the Piper's Pit and Charlotte has the natural selection. They have their regular pinfall moves that they can do. I'm fine with just a straight up match. I don't think you need to do the submission match here. Now, if it was Charlotte's character that never tapped out, I think it might be a little bit more intriguing, but Ronda doesn't tap out. So it's like doing a submission match with John Cena. Like it just doesn't work. I suppose in a submission match, somebody could always just pass out, but yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Anyways, that was SmackDown, everybody. And no Darren, no Iron Man match. You know, they got to get everybody on the WrestleMania card. So I doubt we're going to be seeing any Iron Man matches anytime soon, if ever. And Darren G, yes, Ronda did tap out in the UFC, but this is WWE, and they control the script. Overall, this was a pretty solid SmackDown. Better than some previous weeks. I feel like they're really kicking in the storylines into high gear for WrestleMania. So I'm going to give it a solid B. Good SmackDown overall. Some good build-up for WrestleMania. I would recommend the show. Not a strong recommend or a highly recommend, but it was a good show. It was a very watchable 2-hour SmackDown, and it did get me a little bit more excited for WrestleMania. So on that note, I do think it was a success. And Hamp, he's got jokes. We really need a contract signing. Not sure about that one, but I know you're just joking there. I fully expect it. Next week or 2 weeks from now, maybe one each week, maybe one for Ronda and Charlotte, one for Brock and Roman, although I feel like they already did one, but maybe we'll get 2 contract signings for one match. I don't know if that's ever happened before. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I appreciate your viewership and support. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest breaking news. Cody Rhodes has reportedly signed with WWE. It's been up on NoDQ.com for a couple hours. If you missed it, you can head over there and check out the details. Thank you guys again. Take care. Have a great weekend. And I will see you next week as we continue on the road to WrestleMania 38. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com.